Now we're live.
We're live.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Non-Corporate Network. We got a big announcement today. If you weren't with us on our last episode, we have rebranded our show. A lot of people have the name fill in the blank on the podcast. So, Dustin, do you want to give the big unveil?
Entreprenews.
Boom.
News for entrepreneurs. Bye.
Boom, mic drop. Yes. And, it kind of lines up with the fact that, we're big sports fans and, athletes become great entrepreneurs. And so I'm sure some of you out there that are entrepreneurs are athletes in a past life or maybe in a present life. And so, we're doing this for you. No more of this old gray-haired CNBC business news. This is some hard-hitting, fun business news to listen to. Bring yourself up to speed each Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But the format of our show is that we found the top 6 trending small business stories 3 times a week. We debate them for 3 minutes apiece. And when the buzzer rings, then we shut up and move on. So it doesn't keep you watching us for a million hours a day, but it gives you some good information. So, I'm fired up about today's stories. We got some good stuff. I guess we'll just get right into it.
Let's go.
We didn't say who we are. I'm Chaz Vandemotter.
Dustin Trout.
Yeah. Again, Entreprenews. Remember it. Don't forget it. Let's get into it. Our first story: the stock market is climbing. It's up 72%. How is that happening? We're trying to figure it out. But obviously the stock market is forecasted numbers. So I guess that the bets are being placed that we are going to recover a little bit more than we seem to be in this present moment. What are your thoughts in terms of the stock market on the way up and the S&P doing as well as it's doing during this time?
Yeah, I mean, the stock market's always looking at the future. It's not looking at right now, which is why right when all this happened, it plunged. I mean, it's looking to see that no one's going to be going out. And so now that their state's opening up and I think, there's not spikes in death rates, whatever it may be in those states, the stock market's looking at it and going, hey, more are going to follow. Spending is going to happen. I mean, I saw something on the news this morning that said the amount of money that people are sitting on has gone up about 33% because they can't be outspending. And so, we're a company or we're a country that spends. And so, we're going to have a huge group of people that go out and spend a ton of money and, to bring the unemployment numbers down. But
right. Well, I mean, I think that the one thing we got to consider here is the S&P 500 isn't actually fully representative of businesses. I mean, you think about what companies are storing cash, what companies are better off than most. It's probably the S&P 500 companies. This isn't necessarily indicative of small businesses or even really mid-sized businesses. But, with all these things happening, I look at it and think there's a lot of strategic bets that you can place outside of the S&P 500 in terms of, just what trends are active right now. I mean, we've got remote work, we've got e-commerce, we've got delivery. There's a lot of different verticals outside of those even that might be poised for growth if we're thinking about what's going to happen in the next 2-3 months and investing now in those things.
Yeah, I mean, when I come to work, when I'm out and about, I mean, the roads are getting busier and busier. So, I mean, it's only a matter of time. I mean, people are getting restless. Pretty much everyone I talk to, sure, the need to be safe in how we get back out there. But I think everyone's eager to get out there, spend time with family, go out to eat, and just blow all that money that people are saving up.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's interesting. I mean, you think about these big businesses and even like something like Apple. I had my phone break and there was this crazy long process where the Apple store wasn't open and I had to remotely send stuff in and it was not a great experience. And so I guess that those companies are kind of poised, especially if they have actual in-person locations, even if it is a tech company. I think that getting back to that, it's going to increase efficiency, increase profitability, get more foot traffic in the stores, going to increase the amount of money that people are spending there. So it makes sense in some regard to the prices being up a little bit. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Perfect timing. Right in our next story, So I don't know if you saw this, but Donald Trump was up in arms about CEO of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, putting fact-checking into Twitter's algorithm, and specifically on some of Donald Trump's posts in regards to some of the poll numbers and things like that. Essentially putting a button that says, like, big blue, fact check this. And so I think it's interesting that the guy that's been claiming fake news is getting a little bit of a taste of his own medicine a little bit. But what are your thoughts in terms of the fact checking side? And is this something that we're going to start looking at infringing our freedom of speech? Like, what is the outcome of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think as long as they're not taking people's posts away, I mean, and like saying who can actually post, who can't, I think that's where a good spot is. But I mean, as soon as you put something that says fact check, or, you know, raising a flag, you might already be creating doubt in the consumer's mind. So who's to say that you're not going to be controlling what people see as, you know what I mean? Not to be discussed, but I think it could be a slippery slope in just taking away that freedom of speech and having a platform to go talk. I mean, if you go out and hold up signs, you can say whatever you want. You're not going to have anyone that comes say, fact check what they're protesting about. So it's like, I don't know, is it because it's digital that it's going to get more censored?
Well, I mean, you know, for years, the social media platforms have been able to sit on both sides of the fence in terms of, hey, we're just the platform, so whatever people post, we're just giving them a platform. It's not us as the publisher. But then in other instances, it's like, well, we're the publisher on advertising, and so we can choose what people see and what rules we want to make around it. And it's like, I think that we need to define a little bit more where in that matrix these social media channels are sitting, and do they have a duty to censor posts, or don't they? Because I think, you know, you bring up a good point. If you're going to just remove what I say from Twitter the same way that you can stop me from protesting, then, you know, now we're infringing on First Amendment rights. And so I think that, you know, it's funny to see how much the Constitution is now playing into Facebook and Twitter and these other companies that you would never would have thought. But it'll be interesting to see how this all kind of pans out.
Yeah, I mean, fake news has been around for a while. I mean, there's their magazine, The Inquirer or something like that, where it's literally just the entire thing. I mean, it's satire news, but it's fake news. And I mean, people aren't up in arms saying, hey, Fry's, you can't hold this magazine. Hey, Walgreens, you can't hold this magazine. I mean, it just goes down to do your own research. I mean, don't make your decisions based off of 5-word headlines.
Well, and that's what happened with the Cambridge Analytica scandal, was literally the headlines of those different advertisements and the different, I don't know if it was like the meme farms. It was just one story, and so people had that playing in their head, and they took it for face value of this must be true. So, I mean, I get it. Like, we're giving them a choice a little bit. I think Twitter's always done a great job of kind of leading the charge in terms of this. And so Jack Dorsey, you know, all power to you. Thank you for, you know, setting a precedence. Okay, moving on to our next story. Google. They are changing up their algorithm to focus on page experience as part of the SEO algorithm. I mean, for the beginning of SEO, search engine optimization, it was about let me load up as many keywords as I can into my homepage and drop as many backlinks as I can in there, and, you know, I'll get to the top. And, you know, over the course of the years, we've started to see that they're doing a better job of not necessarily gamifying how do you get to the top. It's more about, you know, the content that you're putting out and the relevancy score. But now they're actually testing based on the speed that the page loads. They're testing based off how many pop-ups are showing up. They're testing based off of everyone's been on an article that's like moving around with the ad moving around in front of you. So they're baking that into part of this SEO score. What are your thoughts about how that's going to impact SEO and just the industry as a whole?
No, I love it because at the end of the day, user experience is everything. If you can improve on that user experience and make it overall better experience, your conversion rates are going to be stronger. You're going to get more leads, sales, all that fun stuff.
Win-win.
And so, I mean, Google does a good job at catering to the users who are using Google, because they know that if I type something in, the first couple links that I click on, I'm going to get the information that I need as quickly as possible. They know that people are going to continue using Google, and if they have people using it, that's where advertising money comes in. And so at the end of the day, I mean, it's you're not going to help. The whole point of doing SEO is to drive more organic traffic to then drive sales. Having a page that has nothing but, the keyword that you're trying to go after 380 times, that's not going to help drive a sale. So at the end of the day, it's a move that, sure, it's going to take more thinking and more content creating, and which creates jobs, all these jobs that people are saying can be taken away. But I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, we're a social media company that does social media for people looking for social media. It's like, I don't want to read that in your description, you know? So I think that, it's interesting. History repeats itself, and they've optimized that content side. And so optimizing just the load speed and things like that, I think is definitely interesting, especially as we continue to phase out the old wave of programmatic advertising and banner ads and replace them with better formatted ads and better like CTAs with chat and things of that nature. So, I mean, I think that we're really working towards, and Google's obviously leading the charge here of optimizing that web experience just from top to bottom. Inside websites, outside websites. I think it's just it's interesting to see what's happened there and what will continue to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be more of a demand from consumers. I mean, there's nothing that frustrates you more than when you're trying to learn about a product and it's just like it has 4 words and then there's nothing but ads around it and you have to keep clicking next to actually get the information that you're looking for.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, you're just helping a potential buyer out, which then leads to sales.
Well, it's so intuitive to the point where it starts to be kind of scary how much Google knows about your experience. And if it took half a second, then the difference between, this wasn't the right web page and, I got exactly what I needed and that's it. Yeah. And that can kind of prioritize like, it looks like they're getting the right answer versus, this website doesn't look like it's helping them. Like, it's crazy how intuitive it is.
Yep.
Word. Okay, next story.
On to our next one. So Paychex, it's a company that helps get employees money in pretty much real time. They're getting to a point where they're trying to push, you can essentially get paid daily. It's I work my 8 hours, I get this much per hour, here's taxes taken out, pay me, and then you get paid. I mean, I think it's awesome for employees, but I mean, if there's anything that's the blood and soul of a business, especially a small one, it's cash flow.
Right.
I mean, I think that this is going to disrupt cash flow within a business, and it's gonna be hard to plan, make decisions. I don't know. I'm for the business not doing this, and I mean, it just takes a ton of time. But what are your thoughts?
People need to get paid, Dustin. Come on, man. We've got to pay rent. It's hard to ever argue something that makes employees more happy. Obviously, this is their livelihood, so understand that. Yeah, it's gonna be cool to get paid every day compared to every 2 weeks or once a month. And I think that obviously you mentioned these smaller businesses that aren't sitting on a lot of cash flow. It makes it difficult for them to really be able to get behind this. But I look at this as something too where there's ways to incentivize these people and maybe give them rewards or little micro bonuses on a day-to-day basis based on their performance. And, when we're living in the present moment and we're working on what do we have in front of us today to get done, and I think that's a great mentality for business. And so being able to incentivize people on a day-to-day basis instead of, hey, a year from now, you're going to get this promotion or you might have this bonus come in if you do, like, it just brings it to reality. And I think that is going to increase output. So from that perspective, I think it's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine the other costs that are incurred by, I know us running payroll costs like between $50 and $100 depending on what software we're using, how many people are on payroll at any given time. And so that's just to run payroll. That's not all of the taxes that are taken out. That's not the payroll taxes the business is paying. So I can imagine that, even if it's a big business, how much more cost are you going to incur just by making people slightly happy? And are those things going to offset each other? It'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a cool attempt at what they're trying to do, but I think a good business owner would then listen to what people are saying. If the argument is I need to get paid every day so that I can make rent, hey, maybe we offer some sort of savings plan or financial coaching, or I mean, you should be able to budget 2 weeks at a time. Yeah. And if not, then maybe that's a sign of, hey, business, maybe you should help them. Or instead of getting paid every day, why don't you do something where everyone automatically gets a $3 a year raise, and every day that they're getting a pay raise essentially.
Well,
And it
I've
shows
seen-
something
yeah.
like that where, I mean,
Yeah.
I would get more excited about getting paid more than more frequently.
Yeah.
Because getting paid more frequently, now I'm just going to, I need that, squander your money more, which then
Right.
is going to prevent you from actually.
Well, I've
paying
seen really
bills.
cool programs where they're doing like benefits that are like, hey, we're gonna give you Netflix for the year. We're gonna like there's housing subsidy stuff with these bigger businesses and the real estate developments are putting together. So it's almost like they're making bigger and bigger attempts to not solely compensate you off of the dollars that you're getting. There's also these extrinsic things, and I think
Well, they're
it's gonna be
perfect.
more of a trend.
They're perfect. It's tax write-off for the business, and then the employee doesn't have to pay taxes.
They're more
on
cash
the
rich
pay.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's like, I don't have to pay. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
There's so many different ways around
it'll be
it.
interesting to see. I think that is indicative of the trend that will be compensating more in other areas and trying to increase the employment offer with things outside of money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot more to talk about, but on
Yeah.
to the next
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Shopify launches something for small businesses to try and create an all-in-one platform. I mean, it helps with cash flow, building reports, showing how you're doing financially. It helps with buy now, pay later, so some type of layaway. Helps with local delivery. Basically, they're trying to help businesses and have one platform. I think, there's something I always hear doing digital marketing. There's an app or tool for everything, and next thing you know, you have hundreds of different tools, don't know where to look, and I think that's the problem they're trying to solve. I mean, I think it's good. People want it. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm a notorious bootstrap entrepreneur kind of guy, and so I think that the strategy they're taking kind of confuses me a little bit. I mean, like you mentioned, there's like 10 different things that they're launching. Like, oh, you could do a QuickBooks through us. Oh, you could do AWS FBA fulfillment, but through us locally. Oh, you can do this layaway stuff. Oh, you can get a credit card with us. You can do this stuff. It's like you got me drinking out of a fire hose, and I think Shopify's done a great job of building to where they're at now, in trying to focus on the user. But it kind of confuses me that they're trying to kind of launch all these products simultaneously.
Yeah.
It just stay good at what you're good at and understand what your brand stands for, and that's how I look at maybe starting with one piece of this, getting more information from your users, finding out what they care about and what they need, and slowly adding those things. But compared to WooCommerce, which is their big competitor, like WooCommerce is like duct tape all these things together. So the fact that they're trying to natively create it, I think is definitely a point of difference from the competition.
Yeah, I mean, you look at their stock price. I mean, it's up to almost $1,000. So they have to find new ways to generate revenue. Otherwise, stockholders aren't happy.
Absolutely.
But I think what they're trying to do is get a step closer to what Square is doing, the POS system. I know that they offer loans and financing to companies. I mean, what better way to gauge whether someone can pay it as knowing all their data? How are they doing? How much cash flow do they have? And then it's like, cool, now we can make more revenue by offering some type of financing. So,
yeah. Do you think it's going to do you think they're going to transition into more of an Amazon type of play where, because they already have a Shopify marketplace where you can buy things. I mean, it's like I'm relating them to WooCommerce, but I bet that the front office is like, no, we want to be compared to Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. The other thing too is that you're only going to be able to do so good compared to Amazon. Like their FBA stuff, I'm sure their shipping rates are more expensive. I'm sure it takes longer, and so it's like you got to start somewhere, but. Obviously you do apples to apples comparison with somebody like Amazon, and they just aren't there yet.
Yeah, and I mean, figuring out the local delivery, I think that's a huge step in competing with Amazon. I mean, they can get it to you quickly, but if you can figure out how to get it within an hour or so by creating a network of local delivery companies or whatever it may be, I think they might see some revenue gains there. Yeah, no, I always say department stores go out of business though, Dustin. So you try to put too many of these features in there together, you start selling everything to everyone. You better have some good reach, and you better be somebody like Amazon if you want to accomplish that well. So we'll see how it goes. I agree. On to the next one. So there's a business that is working with not entrepreneurs, but enterprise level companies with team building virtually. So they have this thing where they get on Zoom. Apparently, the first thing they ask for is, what is your one biggest wish? And then that translates into what feeling were you trying to accomplish with that wish? And then it opens up more conversation. I mean, their goal is they're seeing increased anxiety, loneliness, and all that as COVID has been happening and more work from home. So I get what they're trying to do. I don't really agree with the Kumbaya stuff. I think you can go to Top Golf or do. I mean, granted it's not virtual, but I think there's a lot of things you can do. I mean, their price tag for that is $10,000 per session.
You send everybody a Slack line to walk around in the living room together. I mean, it's tough to team build that way. I mean, I don't know if you necessarily need to be paying somebody $10,000 to ask questions you could ask your own employees, but I don't know enough about it to be able to comment on that side. But I think that the point is that there's some anxiety, there's some mental health issues that are arising based off the fact that people are kind of cooped in their house. But, I also see that over 50% of people want to continue to work from home. So it's like there's a segment of the home workers that are affected by this. It's not 100% of people that are working from home. So, I think, you need to build your team and figure out how to do so remotely. Culture, we know, is a huge part. Mm-hmm. And when you remove yourself from that office setting and from having your team with you in the same place as you, it's not the same kind of effect in terms of culture. So you have to think of ways to inject that in. I just think, we're already on enough Zoom calls, having somebody come in and do the Kumbaya thing compared to like sending people like little gifts or sending them like make everybody make a video or so. I don't know. The other thing is it's going to take up people's time too, and they probably want to keep working, and so now you're pulling them out of their work. And it's interesting. I think that there's an opportunity. I think the biggest thing we can say about this story is there is a window of opportunity for some kind of remote culture building product. But yeah,
I mean, as you mentioned, it was 55% of people want to stay working remote, and so the want is going to be there. I mean, if employers are trying to figure out how to make employees happy, I mean, obviously there's a big queue, so it's something that it's just going to pass. Like, now's an opportunity. If you see other companies coming in, obviously there's a need to be filled there. So start thinking about how you can do it. I mean, I've seen obviously the happy hours. I don't know how some businesses are with the stance on having a drink or two virtually together, but I mean, I've seen bingo, I've seen show and tell, show your pets. I mean, there's a couple different clever ways that I've seen
some games, like you can play these different games. Like there's like bingo, there's like stuff like Cards Against Humanity that can be done like online, where you're in like a virtual room together, and so you see other people's answers, and it's funny, like stuff like that I think could be cool, like a little happy hour. But
VR is the answer.
I mean, if you're an enterprise organization, though, you probably got 100 people in this meeting. You're going to go around and listen to every person tell their wishes, like, But one thing you should be wishing about is getting on Advantage.com. Thank you, Advantage, for sponsoring us today. If you're an entrepreneur, you're somebody that is got some excess capacity. Maybe you need a lawyer. Maybe you need a bookkeeper. Maybe you need a marketer. Check out Advantage. Free, $200 or $150 credit just for signing up. It's like you get $150 of monopoly money to spend on business services for signing up. So Advantage.com, check them out. Anything you want to add?
You just crushed that segue every time. Every time.
I've been working on it. But no, thank you guys for checking us out. Again, you're tuned into the Non-Corporate Network. This is Entreprenews. Content made by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs. I think that's about all I got.
We're good.
Again, I'm Chaz.
Dustin Trout.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next Monday for some more small business news. Get after it Friday, finish the week strong, and get some fresh air. Yeah. Don't hit the clubs or anything yet. I guess in Arizona everybody's doing that already, so I guess do whatever you want. But wash your hands. See you guys.